Sithole. I'm the member of the Energy Regulator and CEO at NESO. I sit on the committees and subcommittees of the Energy Regulator. I also chair the Regulator Executive Committee. And morning once more to everyone who's joined us for this meeting. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much. Mr. Sibanda, if you can please introduce yourself, please.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, colleagues from NESA and members of the public. My name is Fungai Sibanda. I'm a part-time regulator member of the Energy Regulator. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sibanda. Members of the public, just to officially announce that the chairperson of the regulator, Mr. Pukula, is not in attendance today as he's attending another engagement for the electricity and energy department with the minister. So he's not in attendance today, but I will be chairing this session. Thank you. Members, we've got the agenda as shared as it was uploaded on Convene. Before us, are you happy with the agenda as is, or do you have any proposals to amend the agenda or to add to the agenda? If you can indicate by a show of hands if you're happy with the agenda as is, or you've got any additional proposals to add. Thank you, Ms. Maseti. Thank you, Ms. Simane. Thank you, Mr. Mkhize. Thank you, Ms. Sibia. Thank you, Mr. Sibanda. Thank you, Advocate Sithole. I'm also happy for us to adopt the agenda as is. Thank you very much, colleagues. If we can then go on to the next item, the declaration of interest. Do members have any declaration to make? If they do, please, by raising your hands at this stage, if you've got any declaration to make. If not, please make sure that you complete the declaration of interest forms and submit it to RSU. Thank you. Mr. Sibanda, do you have a declaration?
No, Chair, sorry, it's a lingering hand.
Okay, yes. Ms. Simane?
No, Chair, I don't have a declaration, but can RSU upload the declaration forms on Convene? From my side, I'm unable to complete this on iPad. So I don't know if this is just for today or this is a new normal. But I think the most practical thing is to have the declaration forms on Convene. Thanks.
Thank you very much. RSU, we know that you've shared the declaration of interest forms via email. However, it's a request that please make sure that you also upload them on Convene for ease of sign-off by members. Thank you very much. Members, can we then move on to agenda item 5, which is the Pipe Gas Subcommittee. We've got 5.1, which is the SLCNG Pty Ltd's application for a maximum price of gas for the period of 1 July 2025 to 30 June 2026. The item is before us for approval. Ms. Maseti, if you can please take us through this item. Thank you. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, this is the report of the Pipe Gas Subcommittee on the application that was submitted by SLCNG Pty Ltd, which is a company that operates in the KZN, KwaZulu-Natal province, and it is the sister company of SLG. I think it's important, just for purposes of making sense of the cost relating to this company, to indicate that its business model is different from its sister company. For this one, it focuses on compressed natural gas. So it will acquire assets, and those assets are not your typical assets that you see in the Gas Act, such as your distribution pipeline or storage or transmission pipeline. So in this case, because it's a compressed natural gas, it will acquire assets that will enable it to, once the gas comes out of the pipeline, to get compressed and to put in a technology that will enable this company to transport it to its customers. So you will see that such assets are then trading assets. So that's what I will deal with, and that's why you will see the cost that you are seeing there, and that is the cost that is slightly higher than the cost of the other traders, just to clarify that aspect. Chairperson, with regards to this application, I would like to draw the attention of the regulator members to what exactly is this licensee requesting from NERSA. Firstly, if the members can note the price or the cost of acquiring gas, which is that cost that is confidential and is highlighted there on the first or second row there. So that is how much this company is paying to acquire gas, and that is the molecule part, which the Gas Act indicates that from this cost of gas, we must determine a maximum. So it is just the molecule itself, then there must be a maximum price on that molecule. I just want to clarify that aspect. Then it comes the other row, which talks to the trading cost. The trading cost now is one that relates to the assets that I explained, which are your trading assets, not the one for your pipeline to transport. And this one is just the technology that is used to transport. So they need to get a return on that one. So that is the cost that you see there. And then because it just showed the cost of the molecule, and we need to get to a maximum. So it means we must then have a profit component, which is in line with Regulation 44 of the piped gas regulation. That is that profit component that you see there, which is commensurate with the risk. And that's what is stated in Regulation 4 sub 4. So those are the components that we have there. So this also deals with the usual concern on the issue of duplication. So when you add all of those three components, then you get to a maximum price of 336 per gigajoule per annum. So that's what this licensee is requesting from the energy regulator to approve. Just in terms of how we calculated the trading cost, you will see that there is a table that deals with that. I think it's on page 4 and 5 of the covering submission. The only issue that seems to be a bit high there, it relates just to the differences in the allowable revenue. So, and that is also caused by the differences between what NERSA calculated and what what you call the applicant has calculated, and that is as a result of the working capital. You will see that the working capital that NERSA calculated is much less than the working capital of this applicant. And then you will also see the differences again on the total regulator, the regulator asset base, which then causes the differences between what NERSA has calculated and what this licensee has calculated. That difference that you see in the working capital is what the subcommittee focused on during the PGS submission, where the members requested that the applicants at least be clarified. They must get clarification in terms of how they are supposed to determine the working capital or to calculate it in terms of the guidance in the methodology or in the tariff guidelines. So this is something that they actually know, but then you may find that sometimes they will calculate a figure that is quite higher than that, and even the number of days that are specified in the tariff guidelines, but sometimes the licensees will not pay attention to that. Having said those things, there were no other major issues that were raised at the subcommittee level. The maximum price that is now requested that the energy regulator approves is that of 336 rands 79 cents per gigajoule per annum. That is what the energy regulator is requested to approve. And the period there is the 1st of July 2025 to the 30th of, this is the quarter, because we know the figures for the quarter to September 2025, just based on the figures for the quarter that were available, so that customers know exactly how much the maximum price is using the figures that are known by the regulator. So that is on 7.1.1. What is also important is that that amount excludes VAT, and that discounts, because it's a maximum, discounts are allowed, and they must be applied in terms of Section 22 of the Gas Act, in terms of the factors that must be considered for differentiation between customers, and that this price becomes effective on the date on which the regulator has made its decision, and the licensee is then required to apply for the next maximum price 4 months before the expiry of this price. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Madam Maseti, for the presentation. Members, you've got the report as read and as presented by Madam Maseti. Do you have any questions or comments or even enhancement you'd like to make to the report? The item is before us for approval. By show of hands, please. With me. Okay, there's someone whose audio is on. I don't see any hand. Okay, Madam Maseti, it does appear as though your presentation and the report itself was straightforward. No one has got a comment or clarity to make. If we can then go to the recommendations, which are on 7.1 on page 6 of 24. It is recommended that the energy regulator approves SL CNG's maximum price of 336.79 gigajoules for the period 1 July 2025 to 30 September 2025, as reflected in the table below. And the breakdown of the cost is reflected there. There's a cost of gas, there's a trading cost, and there's the profit component, which makes up the maximum price. And then 2, that the maximum price be adjusted quarterly until 30 June 2026, in line with the underlying supplier's acquisition contract. 3, that the approved maximum price is exclusive of VAT. 4, that discounts are allowed and must be applied in accordance with the non-discrimination provisions of Section 22 of the Gas Act of 2001. And 5, that the date of the energy regulator's decision on this matter becomes the effective date of the maximum price for monitoring purposes, and the maximum price will remain effective until the date of approval of another maximum price by the energy regulator. And 6, that the licensee is required to apply for the next maximum price at least 4 months before the expiry of the currently approved maximum price. Members, by a show of hands, if you're happy to approve the item. Thank you, Mr. Mkiza. Thank you, Mr. Sibanda, Ms. Simane, Advocate Sitole, Ms. Maseta. I'm also happy. Ms. Bia, I'm also happy to approve the item. Thank you, colleagues. If we can then go on to the next one, which is 5.2, the minutes of the PGS meeting of the 7th August 2025. That's meeting number 206. Madam Maseti, I don't know if you've got any points of emphasis on the minutes that you'd like to highlight, but the minutes are before us for noting.
Chairperson, I don't have anything to emphasize except just to indicate that these are all the meeting was more on the preliminary assessment of the maximum prices by the different licensees. So it's simply in the issues of compliance. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you
I'll
very
take
much,
questions.
ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Members, do you have any questions or comments on the minutes as read? Okay, no questions or comments. Are you happy to note the minutes as read? By show of hands, please. Thank you, Ms. Simane, Mr. Mkize, Mr. Sibanda, Ms. Maseti, Ms. Sitole, Ms. Sibi. I'm also happy to note the minutes of the PGS of the PGS of August 7, 2025. If we can then go on to item 6, which is the report of the chairperson of the electricity subcommittee. And we've got 6.1. This will be presented by Madam Maseti. 6.1, which is an application for a license to operate a generation facility utilizing battery energy storage system by Gianfa Energy Pty Ltd and Boitikong Battery Storage System Pty Ltd. Over to you, Madam Maseti. We've got the BW2B ESS preferred bidder license applications. Over to you, Madam.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, as you indicated, these there are two of these applications, and these are applications for the battery energy storage, independent power producers under bid window 2. So the first one, Chairperson, is from Gianfa Energy Pty Ltd. Where the in terms of the cost recovery or the rates there are indicated, Chair, on table 1 of the covering submission. And then the second one is Boitekong battery storage system. Again, you will see there that in terms of the price competitiveness, they are not far from each other. In terms of the price itself or the tariff that will be charged for the usage of the energy storage. What the regulator is required to do in this case is to approve a license to operate the battery storage facilities for these two companies, and also to just approve the tariffs determined for this. And the tariffs are there, 309.99 rands per megawatt hour for Gianfa, and the second one is 305.58 rands per megawatt per hour for Boitekong. Then, Chairperson, we also have the draft reasons for decision for these two, and they are attached in this submission under Appendix A and Appendix B for both of them. We also have the power producer agreements for each of these two. So it will be the power that is generated by the IPPs, and those IPPs then will utilize the infrastructure of these two, this infrastructure that the regulator is required to approve today. And lastly, to note that these the PPAs between the IPPs listed in Table 1 which are these ones, and as well as the NTCSA, in terms of utilizing the transmission pipeline that is owned by NTCSA. Chairperson, without wasting any time of the energy regulator, it is just important, just in terms of our own jurisdiction, when the evaluation of the applications was considered, that the subcommittee was happy that the two applicants complied with Section 11 of the Electricity Regulation Act. And also they were the ones that were selected during the procurement process. And in terms of the issues that were raised at the ELS, if you look at paragraph 5 of the covering submission, you will see that all that was asked was just to the issues of just the title to get it right. And I think there's an issue of the way that they usually term it, the staff members, to say application for generation instead of using the exact words of the Act, which is to say that there's an application for a license to operate generation facilities, not the application for generation. So it has been emphasized, and we must get it right ourselves as the regulator, rather than change what the law says. So mainly those were the issues that were raised at the ELS, and just the numbering. Other than that, there were no substantive issues that were raised, and the application itself complied with the law. With that, I would like to stop here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Maseti. Members, any comments to the item as presented and as read? It's before us for approval. Any comments? Over to you, Mr. Sibanda.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you to Ms. Maseti. Just one or two questions from my side, Chair. I think my comments probably apply to both applications, but I'll go to the RFG for who's the first one now? Gianfa Energy. On paragraph, I'm on page 6 of 510. The first question that I have is with respect to the RFP capacity of 615 megawatts versus what was in the ministerial determination, which I'm assuming we had to concur with. That was a capacity of 513, according to paragraph 2. So I just wanted to check what are the implications of that, because if we concurred to a capacity of 513 in total, and the RFP comes with a capacity of 615, what are the implications thereof? The second one on the next page, paragraph 8. I think it's just an enhancement there. The figure of 2,383, I think that's supposed to be megawatt hours, not megawatts. And then on page 10, so it's a list of documents that we relied on or have assessed, and one of those is the term sheet. It says it's a term sheet provided by the main lender, but it doesn't say who the main lender is. And if you go to paragraph 35, there are three main banks who are the lenders. But also, it's not clear to me what proof of financial capability has been provided by the applicant, especially with respect to the other two. So we know there's a term sheet by the main lender, but what about the others? What is it that they've provided in support of the application? If that can be clarified. And then on paragraph, the last one is on paragraph 75. I just wanted to check the energy input metered that's quoted there, 257,000 megawatt hours. That's different to what is on paragraph 52. So I wanted to check what is the difference there. Why are the two figures different? That's all from my side, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sibanda. Madam Maseti, here are the questions and comments made by Mr. Sibanda. Over to you.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, I'm going to ask Mr. Mkhize and Mr. Hopa to just clarify those specific issues. If they can just come in on the issue of the implications on the different capacity, and also the proof of financial capability. I think they will know those as they worked on the raw documents. If they can come in, please. Thanks.
Okay. Over to you, Mr. Mkhize and Mr. Hopa. Please, if you can address those issues.
Good morning, Chairperson. Good morning to the members and the colleagues and the public at large. Chair, without too much of a waste of time, I'll ask that Mr. Hopa comes in. Although, Chair, these can be taken as points of enhancement to the document, we will have a look at the two and see if there is if there should be correlation, and then this will be corrected. But if Mr. Hopa wants to probably substantiate further, I'll open the floor for him to come in. Thank you.
Mr. Hopa, over to you.
Okay, good morning, Chair. Good morning, colleagues and the members. No, there is nothing to substitute from my side, unless if Mr. Hore, as a project lead, has anything that he wants to add. But then those are points that we'll look at. Thanks.
No, but we need to indicate the implications. I'm sorry, Chairperson, through you.
Yeah.
It does happen that even if they were previously licensed for different capacity, sometimes the capacity is less or it becomes more. And when it becomes more, also financially, there are some implications. But it is not something that even the IPP office will have a big issue about, or even the department. And sometimes it's just the advantage of the technology itself. So these are things that you need to explain here to the question that is asked by the member. It's not a question of enhancement. The member is asking a question of clarity, not a question of enhancement. Please deal with that aspect, Mr. Hore, if you are in the meeting, in terms of the capacity itself. Here, what should we be concerned about, and whether this is something that the department and the IPP office is aware of, and whether they have any issue on the issue of the different capacity.
Thank you, Chair and Regulator members. Good morning. Yes, the integrated resource plan itself, you have got provisions for the minister to slightly change the capacities depending on the requirements of the system and the bids. So yes, there is a difference between what was concurred to and what was in the RFP, but it was extensively discussed by the department and the IPP office itself. You would find that even for bid window 7, there were also some reallocation of capacities that were meant for wind, and they were reallocated to solar simply because they could not get enough capacity that was for in the wind from the bids. So from time to time, the procurer, you've got also some leeway in adjusting these numbers. With respect to the term sheet, normally the main lender is the one that will provide guarantee that it will actually fund this project. So the financial capability of the applicant can be substantiated by only the term sheet from the main lender. Then the main lender will always coordinate with the other lenders. And over and above this, we also have got the financial model that also serve as proof of financial capability with all those financial indicators. And I think as an enhancement, we'll just mention the other lenders that are involved, though we don't have their own term sheet for now. Even on the direct agreement that is going to be signed, we'll only remember that there is only one lead member who lender member who will actually be coordinating all this. Thank you. I hope I clarified some of the issues.
Thank you,
Mr.
Mr. Hore.
Chairperson.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Mr. Hore.
Chairperson. I think that the only point there will be just the one that Mr. Sibanda indicated, that they need to just add the hour there so that it's megawatts per hour, just to include that for enhancement. Otherwise, for the two main questions, they were clarified and there were no issues with regards to the capacity. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you very much, Madam Assistant Team. Just to check with you, Mr. Sibanda, if you are adequately clarified and covered.
Yes, I am, Chair. I think the issue of the difference between the ministerial determination and the RFP, perhaps if that can be clarified in the RFD, I think that will help. And then lastly, that, what is it, alignment between paragraphs 75 and 60, I think it's 52, 75 and 52, if colleague can also have a look at that, please. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sibanda. Members, we've got the item before us. It is for approval. The recommendations are on page 3. Under 6.1, it is recommended that the Energy Regulator 1 approves the issuance of the licenses to operate generation facilities to the 2 IPPs listed in Table 1 above. 2, approves the tariffs between each IPP and the NTC SA shown in Table 1 above. 3, approves the draft decisions and draft reasons for decisions attached here to as Appendix A and B. And lastly, notes the PPAs between the IPPs listed in Table 1 and NTC SA. Oh, that's for, yeah. And NTC SA. Thank you. Members, by a show of hands, if you're happy to approve the above. By a show of hands, please. Thank you, Madam Maseti, Mr. Mkize, Ms. Simane, Mr. Sibanda, Ms. Sibia, Advocate Sitole. I'm also happy to approve the item. Thank you very much. If we can then go on to 6.2, which is an application for an electricity trading license by Investec Bank Limited. It's before us for approval. Madam Maseti, please take us through the item.
Chairperson, as you indicated, the application is from Investec Bank Limited, And this application was submitted.
Can I just interrupt you, Ms. Sithole? Is your hand a lingering hand, or there's something you want to clarify?
Apologies, Chair, it was a lingering hand, sorry.
Thank you. Sorry about that. Sorry, Ms. Sithole, you may proceed.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, as I indicated, this is an application that was submitted by Investec Bank Limited. This application was received on 27 February 2025, and it was made, the application itself was made in line with Section 7 of the Electricity Regulation Act. Just to indicate to the members that Investec had or has signed a 5-year generator power purchase agreement with Iligwa, a PV facility, to secure some about 50 megawatts of solar from Iligwa being the generator or the company that operates the generation facility. So what is generated by Iligwa will then be purchased by Investec itself as an off-taker of that power that is generated by Iligwa, and that generation facility is located in the Free State province. The energy regulator had approved the operation of that generator on 21 November 2022. So in addition to the agreement for generation, Investec also entered into a 5-year customer power purchase agreement with Investec Bank facilities. So these are just arrangements now in terms of the how much the sort of about them being the customer or buying the electricity itself, and also just to indicate that the transportation of that power will be delivered through Eskom distribution network. So just to indicate that in terms of this application. At the time, Chairperson, as you know, once we receive an application, that application must be published for objections for 30 days. So during the objection period, there was what you call a submission, comments that were submitted by the member of the public, Ms. Kabelo Matlodi Mataboge, on 30 July 2025. Essentially, Mataboge was objecting to the granting of the requested trading license to Investec, and stated her reasons for that. But Mataboge felt that she would not come to the hearing as long as the energy regulator has the written comments, of which comments are objecting to the granting of the license. Now, what was contained in the objections was part of what the energy regulator analyzed. So her concerns or her views were taken into consideration. The analysis of Eskom's objection, which there was also another objection by Eskom against the granting of the trading license or electricity trading license to Investec. Both of those objections that came from Ms. Mataboge as well as from Eskom were analyzed, just for emphasis, and formed part of the reasons for decision. And that is also on paragraphs 7.1 to 7.2 of the RFDs, just for the ease of reference to the energy regulator members to indicate where exactly the input was or the objections were analyzed, and what were the issues. So for the issues, or on the issues that were raised during the electricity subcommittee, Members, you will find that on paragraph paragraph 5.2, under table 2 there, nothing substantial was raised except just the clarification on the engagements with the member of the public, which is Matabuche in this case, who objected to the trading license, just to check whether she was informed of the feedback with regards to the issues that she raised in her objection during the objection period. So that's the only thing that the committee raised with regards to the objections, and also with the ESCOM objections were quite clear. So those are some of the issues that were raised during the subcommittee, but there's a number of some other issues, none that were substantive, and the subcommittee then recommended to the energy regulator, if I may go to the recommendations for the record, that the energy regulator approves that Investec Bank be issued with a 20-year electricity trading license, subject to the conditions that are imposed. The second decision that is sought is that the energy regulator must note the 5-year generator power purchase agreement entered into between Investec Bank Limited and Iliqua PV Facility Pty Ltd. The third decision is to note the 5-year customer power purchase agreement between Investec Bank Limited. I don't know, this one is actually almost the same. The team will just clarify that, because there's one that is providing the finance there. Between the bank's units there. And then the fourth decision is to note the tariff in the customer power purchase agreement between Investec and Investec Bank Limited in terms of the facilities. And then the third one is also just to note to note the tariff, and then to approve the reasons for decision on this application. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Madam Maseti. Members, we've got the report before us for approval, and Madam Maseti has read up the recommendations for the record. Ms. Sibia, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Chair. Thanks to the team, Ms. Maseti and the team. Chair, I do understand the late receipt of written objections by ESCOM, which was after the expiry, because they were submitted on the 10th of July, and then when it was expiring on the 8th, the period of the objections. But what I would like to know from the team is if I can be clarified on this, because we have an existing customer right in the middle, and who will now then would like to have a supply being changed. And there is a process where they are engaging with ESCOM to amend that supply agreement that they currently have, so that they can include this one if approved by NESA. So I wanted to ask the team the implications of that from an infrastructure perspective. Is it practical that can happen, that they can be supplied separately using the current infrastructure? Is that not what ESCOM is objecting to? Because I'm looking at it, because if you have a supply agreement, it's usually 20 years, etc. And then now you will have to have an infrastructure to just supply only this customer, not the whole area where Investec is. So I just wanted to find out from the team, what are the implications of the ESCOM decision between the customer what is the link between our decision of saying yes and the supply agreement that they currently have there? What if Eskom says to the customer, no, we are not changing the current agreement due to infrastructure challenges? What are the implications there? Because that is my concern on this issue, because we are aware that there are a lot of issues within the distribution network within Eskom or around that area, because it's it's a central business district where this is it practical that this can happen, where one customer says, please take me out, I will be supplied separately. I have my own supply for a specific period, in this case, which is a 5-year period. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Ms. Sibia. Mr. Sibanda.
Thank you, Chair. Just an enhancement, probably. So one of the objections by Eskom is that Investec cited a number of suppliers and customers in its application. And our response is that, well, this is actually a bilateral agreement between one supplier and customer, which is correct. But I thought perhaps we need to go a step further and indicate that in future, should Investec wish to add either customers or suppliers, then it would have to come back to the regulator. I hope I'm correct, so that we just close that loop and make it clear that this is not a blank check, but that there is a process that will have to be followed in future should Investec wish to expand. And then the comments by Ms. Matabu here, I'm reading them as if this is Eskom speaking, and I just want confirmation from the team that we have captured them correctly, because all that they say is Eskom argues, Eskom says, Eskom. So I wanted to check, because I was looking for the voice of the member of the public, and I'm hearing Eskom's voice. So I wanted just confirmation that we've captured these comments accurately. And then the last thing, just in terms of, I think there's a section where we talk about project viability and we assess different things and adequacy of capital and reasonability of costs and all of that. In the other applications, we have a section that's entitled prudency assessment. So I thought we needed to be consistent, because these are similar applications. Perhaps if we can just adopt a consistent approach. If we consider these evaluations to be prudency assessments, let's have that across the applications and not to have different apply different assessments to similar applications. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sibanda. Ms. Sumane.
Thank you very much, Madam Chairperson, and to Madam Masset. From my side, obviously, I'm the member of the ELS, but normally in governance, they say if you are wiser today than you were yesterday, you still have to seize the opportunity. My concern, Chair, is that in general, I note and I do note the objections and also what Eskom has submitted. And my own concern is that it is becoming now a trend that the banks move are already in a very concentrated market, which is the banking industry, and they move to networks, which is you see them also in telecommunications, and now they're moving to electricity. My major concern is that given the fact that us as a regulator, obviously we are duty bound that we should encourage competition. I'm just seeing a trend where in the current way things are happening, the very entrenched dominance of the banks in the banking industry has moved in slightly to telecoms, and now is moving to the electricity regime without any cognizance of the need to at least allow other players in the market. If maybe I can expand on this, I know that as a matter of fact, for example, when Brazil started with renewables, in particular with solar, they just isolated that part of the market for SMMEs. And I'm thinking in a country like ours, where Black people are nowhere to be found in any part of the economy, being meaningful players, is there no need maybe for us as an energy regulator to maybe just pause a bit and just look at how best can these new markets that are emerging as we deregulate the energy value chain, if I can say, how best can these be leveraged, number one, to address the issue of concentration in the South African economy. And we already do have MOUs with the Competition Commission. I think they can be of great assistance. Secondly, to address transformation issues, because I'm just scared that things are continuing as business as usual, and the majority of Black South Africans, of which we are duty bound in terms of our legislation to act in the best interest of the public, and the public is majority Black, they continue to be economic spectators. So from my side, I would have loved a situation whereby maybe we just put some brakes and do some kind of market inquiry in terms of how, as NESA, as the electricity value chain is being liberalized, how best can the issues of concentration in all the in the whole value chains, as well as the issue of the lack of transformation information, can be addressed. And I think in the PPS, if I'm not mistaken, that had started, even though it was not formally. So if Mr. Mkhize will correct me if I'm wrong, where there were even agreements with banks to kind of assist. But my concern is that I do not want us to be seen as just being on autopilot, and in terms of how we license, and be seen as if we are tone deaf to the plight of the lack of transformation in the country, as well as to the plight of the very dominant companies getting into other spaces. Obviously, they've got all the muscles, the capital, and everything to come and also monopolize these emerging markets. So I'm very concerned about that one. And also the other concern, I think, also if you look on how even the transformation is the transmission deregulation itself, or unbundling of ESCOM itself, it hasn't taken into cognizance a much needed transformational agenda to be achieved. So I'm just concerned about those. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Ms. Semane. Mr. Mkhize.
Thank you very much, Chairperson, and thanks to myself for the presentation. I'm also a member of ELS, and the issues I just want to mention kind of touch to what Madam Semane has alluded to. Firstly, with regard to Madam Matebo, who could not make it to the public hearing, I think it's also incumbent upon the NERSA team to encourage such participation, particularly if it's a member of the public, noting that in some instances it could be a daunting task to be out there making presentation and be subjected to the questions by the panel. But I think that it will help in the bigger scheme of things, which also would talk to us maybe in terms of how we handle that process to make it easy. Because the thing is that when such comments are also deliberated upon in the public space or in the platform that is provided in the public hearing, it should tend to help us. And then the other issue, it's a second one, is the development or in the industry. I think it's going to be important. It's not for the decision now, but I think it's going to be important to kind of track what are the trends, what are the implications thereof, and if there are any unintended consequences, how they can be mitigated, and if any benefit, how that benefit, can be further enhanced and leveraged upon. I think that would be important to do. And then with regard to the issues of competition, is that if you look at the Act, it's unlike the other two acts for gas and petroleum pipelines with regard to transformation, noting the history with Eskom's dominance and the municipalities playing their role in distribution. But that transformation issue, I think it can also form part of that tracking, so that we can be able to also ensure the issue of the orderly development of the industry. And lastly, I would then request that maybe, since we're in this space, if they can just ventilate in terms of the progress regarding the rules for trading. That's all from my side. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mkhize. Madam Massetti and team, there are other questions as has been posed and comments made by members. Over to you to address those, please.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, I will allow the team to come in. I will come in the end just to clarify on the issue of the members of the public to come to the hearing, and also just to get some guidance there from from RSU, Mr. Chokwe, to advise the regulator on that aspect, how we need to deal with it. And with regards to the questions now, I'll ask the team, Mr. Mkhize, as well as Mr. Huber, to come in and respond to the questions.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Just in terms of Ms. Sibia's question, I'll start from the top and just go down. She spoke about the practicalities around the availability of infrastructure to supply electricity to a dedicated customer. And I just wanted to clarify there, Chairperson, that wheeling agreements are mainly financial agreements rather than actual electrons moving from point A to point B. So when a generator supplies those electrons at that point, they enter into a pool and nobody can really trace exactly where they go. However, I think it's something that is worth considering in terms of the state of the networks, particularly of municipalities. Some of the municipal networks are constrained and therefore need to be upgraded. But I think in general, Chair, I'll just answer by saying that the electricity supply agreement that is between the municipality and the customer, or between Eskom distribution and the customer, is indeed amendable, and that is based on the Act in section 2F, it talks about that the customer has a choice of who supplies the customer. So those electricity supply agreements are amendable as soon as the customer has identified an alternative supplier who is licensed by NERSA. And then, Chair, there was a question from Mr. Sibanda who spoke about, in fact, this was an enhancement that we should add that when a licensee like Investec wishes to add a customer, they have to come back to the regulator. And I must just state that we have recently amended this requirement that licensed traders can come back to the regulator every 6 months rather than each time they have acquired a new customer. So this will make this, it will reduce the regulatory burden on the traders. And then Mr. Sabanda also asked about the comments from Ms. Mataboge, the member of the public. Her objection was submitted late. However, the energy regulator still considered her comments. The first one was with regards to regulatory overreach and process concerns. She argued that NERSA might be issuing licenses too broadly without a robust trading framework in place. And this is something that ESCOM has also raised a number of times. Then there was also issues about grid concerns, grid stability, as well as technical oversight. And this is something that we've also, I've just mentioned also regarding Ms. Sibia's question. There was also a concern about revenue erosion. She highlighted that ESCOM could lose revenue if large corporate customers start buying electricity directly from private generators. And Chair, I must just state that this is something that the rules are wanting to address because, of course, there is a use of infrastructure by the private trader. So the municipality or ESCOM distribution must be properly compensated for the use of the system or the infrastructure in these transactions. So this will be addressed in the rules. This also includes issues of subsidies, Chairperson. There is a number of subsidies that are avoided and that is presently, when customers opt to use traders. These will also be addressed in the rules. And then she also spoke about unfair competition, procedural flaws, and other issues, Chair, which were mentioned in detail in the RFD. And then I think Ms. Simane's question, I think Ms. Maseti said that she would address those, but I will just state that the Act is not explicit in terms of BEE issues and addressing economic issues and imbalances in terms of ownership. So it's always a challenge for us when we determine the licensing requirements that we cannot really venture into that area of matters of inequalities and BEE. And then lastly, Mr. Mkhize spoke about the consultation of the public, and that is something that we are trying or attempting to do with the development of the trading rules. Currently, we are soliciting the comments of affected stakeholders, but we will also move into the public space, and we are taking this as guidance that we should conduct these public hearings in a public setting. And then I think Ms. Maseti wanted to also address some of the other issues that were raised by Mr. Mkhize. So I'll stop there, Chairperson. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I think,
Madam Maseti.
Sorry, thanks, Chairperson. So I wanted them to deal with the question that was asked by Mr. Sibanda. In fact, it's just an enhancement where we deal with the submission deals with the project of viability, and in some other areas they deal with prudency assessment. So if we deal with those standards, or we introduce that standard of prudency, it's important that when we bring that in the evaluation, that it should be consistent in all of the applications when we deal with them, so that we don't deal with prudency assessment in one application and in other applications we don't deal with this standard. I think that is important, Mr. Smart. I think that's the point of enhancement, and it will be dealt with. There's a hand from Madam Semane, Chairperson. I don't know whether it is maybe a follow-up question on the question that she had asked earlier.
On your side, are you done with the prudency assessment and the clarification?
I'm not done, Chair. I'm not done.
Maybe finish, then we'll go over to Madam Simon.
All right. Thank you. All right. With regards to, I think the issue of the observation from Madam Semane, obviously, I think that the concern is valid from the viewpoint of ensuring that as we regulate, we ensure inclusivity as well as transformation. I know that our legislation or pieces of legislation that we regulate at NERSA, they make mention of HDSAs, the historically disadvantaged South Africans, which is also just slightly different from the triple BEE companies. So what we are required to do when we deal with licenses is to consider whether the application that is before us will promote the interest of the companies that are owned or controlled by the HDSAs. Yes, it is not in the actual provisions such as your Section 7, but you will find it somewhere in the objectives of the Act. And then in other legislation that we deal with, it is something that we consider in the regulations to say that when we do the evaluation, let's take that into account, and also in the license conditions that they be those issues be considered. I know that that's how we dealt with in gas, and we make an effort that we make sure that they will take those issues into account. But in the period that we are in, where we know that we deal with issues of moving to this transition, and the transition must be just, and the transition must not leave others behind. So it is therefore important in terms of when the space is being that the space is being what is the right term, is one that seeks to be inclusive, that the regulator be part of that, of ensuring inclusivity, to regulate for inclusivity so that others are not left behind. We do know that there are other challenges of access to capital, and obviously due to structural challenges in our country, as we all know, some might not have the access to capital and be able to take the opportunities so that they can be able to play in the space. But what we can then, for purposes of the suggestion that is made by Madam Semane, I think there is nothing that stops us at the right time to consider the market inquiry and then scope it properly so that we can see what are the issues that are making others not to be able to take the opportunity and participate, and then until the market inquiry unearth some of those challenges, and then we'll see what kind of solutions can be can people propose, so that with the space, whereas it is changing, as we're transitioning, that others as well, they get equal opportunities and also have the access to capital so that they participate in the space. So that's how I would respond to the question that was posed or raised by Madam Semane, with also the proposal that she made. But we need to just look at it carefully. Why I say so, it is because even the licenses that we have granted, some of those licenses have not yet been utilized for the purpose that was intended. It is still early on. We've just approved some of these, and some of the generation facilities are also not operational. So we need to look at that carefully, because it might not give us, especially if it is still early, it might not give us the sort of the right answers, but also look at what signals are we putting out there in the market to investors. So it is also very important that we balance all of those interests once we get into that space. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Madam Maseti. Ms. Mane, I take it you've got a follow-up.
Yes, thank you. Thanks a lot, Madam Chair, and thanks to Madam Maseti and the team. Mine, Chair, I'm sorry, Madam Maseti, to raise my hand while you are still speaking. I just didn't want to lose my thought of train. My input was on the fact that we do not have an explicit clause in the Electricity Regulation Act that mandates the energy regulator to impose license conditions or for transformation. So I wanted to respond to that. What I've seen in particular, I think with the Competition Tribunal or the Competition Commission itself, they maximize the use of acting in the best interest of the public. If you see, I always observe how they rule in terms of the measures that and other acquisitions that are in their writer screen, or they always hinge on the need for public interest matters to be considered by the companies that are doing business. And I think internally they also have a moral duty in terms of being good corporate citizens. So from my side, the suggestion I wanted to make was that what harm will it do if we put a little bit of brakes on these approvals and seek an agent, senior counsel's legal opinion in terms of how best within the current legal framework and all other legislative framework, how best can the energy regulator advance transformation, and also if they can take further, how then best can we make sure that as the industry is deregulated in this, the market is opened up, we also encourage the deconcentration, because currently we're moving from a one monopoly, but it looks like we are going to create other monopolies that are in the other sector are going to be what is going to come here. So that's what I wanted to put in, Madam Chair, and thank you very much for your indulgence.
Thank you very much, Madam Semane. Just to check with the other members who had questions and comments, if they've been adequately answered. Yes, go ahead.
Chairperson, for my side, I would say that it's not a question of comprehensive answering here and now. It's a recommendation in terms of looking at this also as part of developing the rules. And I think that even the issue of transformation as articulated by Madam Semane could also be looked into as part of the development of these rules, taking cognizance that we could be finding ourselves with a challenge of legislation that does not cover us adequately to be able to put brakes on the process that is currently underway. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mkhize. I saw that there's a hand up from Mr. Mkhize Jr. I assume it was an earlier hand, unless if it is an effective hand. Mr. Welile?
No, it was an earlier hand, Chair.
Noted.
Yes, Chair.
Noted.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks, members. We've got the item that is before us for approval, and Madam Massetti has read the recommendations on clause 6, that is page 4 of 38. If we can then show by indication by hands if we're happy to approve. By show of hands, please. Thank you, Mr. Sibanda, Ms. Sibia, Mr. Mkhize, Ms. Massetti, Advocate Sithole. And I'm also happy to approve the item. Thank you very much. If we can then go on to the next item, which is 6.3, the application for an electricity trading license by Solar Trade Co. Pty Ltd. The item is before us for approval. Madam Massetti, if you can please take us through the item. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson. As you indicated, this one is an application again for the electricity trading license. At this time, it was submitted by Solar Trade Co. Pty Ltd. Again, Chairperson, this application was processed in terms of the new or amended legislation that became effective in January 2025 in terms of the number of days being 60 days. The application itself was lodged on 6 March 2025. Just the issue of this company that would want to participate in the trading space, electricity trading market. This company has entered into a 20-year generator power purchase agreement with Springbok Power Plant. So that's where it is going to acquire the power and becomes the buyer of the 52 megawatts of energy from Springbok Power Plant. And that power plant was also licensed, or the generation, the license to generate that plant was approved by the Energy Regulator on 6 September 2023. What is also important, and my apologies,
I can't.
Sorry, I'm speaking alone.
Oh, okay.
I was speaking alone, sorry, Chair. So, Chairperson, I was saying that what is also key in terms of this application is to clarify or to mention the agreement between Springbok being the generator, as well as Eskom as a trading, where it is stated that they have entered into a draft distribution connection use of system agreement, the two of them, so that Springbok can be able to utilize the distribution infrastructure of Eskom to be able to transport the power that is generated. And that's how then that the Solar Trade Co will be able to trade that electricity that is generated, or the electrons that were generated. In terms of objections, there were no objections that were received during the 30 days that is prescribed in the Act, the 30 days for objections when the application was advertised, Chairperson. However, on the 30th of July, there was a submission made by the member of the public. It is opposing the granting of the electricity trading license to Solar Trade Co. And then we are also aware that the member of the public did not participate in the public hearing, did not want to come and make oral submissions. It was satisfied just with the written submissions to the energy regulator. And its submissions, that is Mataboga again, its submissions were considered during the assessment itself. And then in terms of the issues raised at the subcommittee, it was just the status of the rules. And it was clarified that the rules are still under public comment, and there were webinars that were arranged where stakeholders participated in terms of the webinars that were arranged by the energy regulator on the trading rules. And I think they are still engaging, and people are coming forward with input. And the initial deadline was, I think it was November or so. I'm not sure whether we are still going to be able to do that. It was an indicative date, but we will hear from the team if that will still be the position that the energy regulator will finalize the trading rules in November. So, Chairperson, nothing that really was raised which was of substance that will prevent the decision to approve this license that is applied for. If I may, if I then go to the recommendations in terms of what decision is sought, the subcommittee has recommended to the regulator to approve that solar trade copy issued with the trading license. And then secondly, to note the 20-year generator power purchase agreement that was entered into between Solar Tradeco as well as Springbok Power Plant. To note the 20-year customer power purchase agreement between Solar Tradeco as well as Old Mutual Emerging Markets. To also note the tariff in the customer power purchase agreement between Solar Tradeco as well as Old Mutual Emerging Markets, and also to note the tariff that is in the generator power purchase agreement between Solar Tradeco and Springbok. And lastly, to approve the decision itself to grant the license as well as the reasons for the decision. Thank you, Chairperson, for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, Madam Maseti. Members, we've got the item before us. It is for approval as well. And Madam Maseti has taken us through the recommendations. Any questions or comments or even enhancements of the item, if you can indicate by a show of hands, please. Okay, it does appear as though this was straightforward, Madam Maseti. That is the application for an electricity trading license by Solar Tradeco Pty Ltd. There are no questions or comments. Members, we've got the recommendation before us as read by Madam Maseti. If you can indicate by a show of hands if you're happy to approve the item. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Sibanda, Mr. Mkhize, Ms. Sibiya, Ms. Maseti, Advocate Sithole. Mr. Mane, I didn't see your hands. I could have missed it. I'm also happy to approve the item. Thank you very much. Excuse me. If we can then go to 6.4, which is the application for electricity trading license by Solis Energy Trading Pty Ltd. The item is before us for approval. And if Madam Maseti, you can take us through this item, please.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, this application by Solis Energy was received on 11 December 2024, and it is an application that was made in accordance with Section 7 of the Electricity Regulation Act. In terms of this application, it is important to indicate that Solis Energy has entered into a 10-year generator power purchase agreement with Ilikwa PV facility for purchasing 1 megawatt of energy, and that the Iligwa itself, its generation facility or the operation of its generation facility was approved by the energy regulator on 21 November 2022. So all those have been covered. And in terms of the transportation of that that energy from Iligwa to take it to the market, it will be done through the Eskom distribution network. Eskom will amend the use of system agreement to allow for the wheeling arrangement and assigning the Solis Energy as the off-taker of that power. Chairperson, Solis Energy will also use the city of Cape Town a distribution network to wheel the power to its customer in that area in the city of Cape Town. In terms of complying with the requirements of the legislation, which means that the application must be advertised, the applicant itself has complied with that and advertised the application on 12 May 2025 in Cape Argus as well as the Burger newspaper, notifying the members of the public about the application itself. And that was also in compliance with PAJA as well as the Electricity Regulation Act. So in terms of the 30 days for that application, on the closing date, on 30th of July 2025, again, the member of the public, which is Ms. Kabelo Matlodi Mataboge, submitted comments with regards to the trading application. The hearing itself was scheduled to take place on 8 August 2025. But Ms. Mataboge did not said is not going to make any oral submissions, so the written submissions were sufficient, and in that and those oral written submissions, she was opposing the granting of the trading license. Chairperson, I won't get into the issues that were raised at the ELS just to save time and take the matter as having been read, but there is a table that lists all of the issues that were raised by the subcommittee, just to get clarity on the issues raised by the member of the public, which is Ms. Mataboge, and also clarifying the issue of the 60 business days, and also the technical responsibilities pertaining to the grid itself. Those were the issues, and also the use of system agreement. Those were the issues that were raised, and they're all on that table, and the responses to those issues are also provided. Now, Chairperson, the energy regulator is requested by the subcommittee to approve that Solis Energy Trading be issued with the trading license so that it can enter the space and trade in electricity, and the license conditions have been attached. Also to note that the 10-year generator power purchase agreement between Solis Energy Trading as well as Iligwa PV facility. Thirdly, the decision that is sought is for the energy regulator to note the 5-year customer power purchase agreement between Solis Energy Trading as well as Fine Chemicals Corporation. Also to note the tariff between Solis Energy as well as Fine Chemicals, and also to note the tariff between the generator of electricity and Iligwa as well as the company that is applying for trading, and lastly to approve the reasons for decision. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Madam Maseti. Members, we've got the presentation and the report as read, the application by Solis Energy Trading. If you've got any questions or comments on the item, if you can please indicate by a show of hands. And Madam Massetti has read the recommendations on page 5 of 38. I've got a hand from Mr. Sibanda. If you may go ahead, Mr. Sibanda.
Yes, thank you, Chair, and thank you to Ms. Massetti. Chair, we raise a concern of paragraph 6.65 on page 22 regarding the capacity that's being contracted here, 1 megawatt, and the fact that this may be an administrative burden on the regulator. I think it would be important to probably revisit the issue at some point. I'm just raising it so that we flag and it doesn't fall through the cracks, because I think it's an important issue or observation that at some point maybe we may want to do a trends analysis to check what we've been licensing and what the impact is. Because I think there could be pros and cons of licensing such small capacities, but it will be important to maybe after 6 months or so just revisit the issue and see where we are and what the implications are. Because I suppose it's a policy; it's more of a policy issue, really. But I think it's an important observation, one that we need to come back to at some point. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sibanda. Madam Massetti and Tim, if you can please address that.
Thank you, Chairperson. I think we can take that as an enhancement in the sense that it is something that needs to be monitored. I guess that's what Mr. Sibanda is also suggesting, because he acknowledges the fact that it is the prerogative of the minister. If the minister does not want the regulator to license those that are only procuring 1 megawatt. But I don't know if then, because this is just one supplier, if this is approved, and they may also procure from others as well. So the only thing that we have at this point is just on the generation side of things, because there is no need there due to competition and having other parties that are participating in that space. And I assume also in trading as well, because we are allowed in terms of the act to transition into a competitive state. And also we are hoping that the electricity trading market is going to get into a stage of a healthy competition. And maybe Mr. Sibanda then that point can then come in, but it is something that needs to be closely monitored, especially for those capacities that are quite small, and whether there's a need for the regulator to be concerned about licensing those ones, if then we are happy about the state of competition in the electricity trading market. I think that's where we can take it. Otherwise, on the generation, it was still the minister that said we don't need to up to a particular. I think there's a threshold that there is no need to license those ones. All we can do is do generation. So we don't have that generation so that we can keep the trends, but it is something that we can monitor. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Madam Massetti. Just to check with you, Mr. Sibanda, if you aptly answered.
I am, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Members, the item is before us for recommendations. Madam Massetti has taken us through the recommendations on page 5. If you're happy to approve the item by a show of hands, please. Thank you, Mr. Mkhize. Thank you, Mr. Sibanda, Ms. Massetti. Ms. Sibiya, thank you. Advocate Sitola, I'm also happy to approve the item. Thank you. If we can then go to 6.5, which is the application for an electricity trading license by Link Solar Pty Ltd. The item is before us for approval. Over to you, Madam Maseti.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, I will take the item as having been read. The application was submitted to the energy regulator for a trading in electricity by Link Solar. Link Solar has entered into a 20-year generator power purchase agreement with Solar Africa Energy. And Link Solar will buy the power that is generated by Solar Africa, and it will buy about 10 megawatts of that energy. Now, with regards to Solar Africa, Solar Africa was it was granted a registration to operate the generation facility on 17 April 2023. And with that, then also in terms of just the infrastructure that will be utilized to transport the that generated electricity, they will utilize Eskom's distribution. So they will connect on the Eskom distribution and enter into a use of system agreement with Eskom for the wheeling arrangement. And that wheeling arrangement of Solar Africa will then be amended so that Link Solar is included there as an off-taker of power. In terms of NTCSA for transmission, Link Solar will use the National Transmission Company of South Africa, the transmission network that is owned by NTCSA, as well as I indicated, by Eskom, and that will be in the Northern Cape province as well as in the Northwest province. So those are the two provinces. Just in terms of the requirement to advertise the application, that was done by Link Solar on 27 June 2025, as well as on 11 July 2025. And the publication was on the Rustenburg Herald and Platinum weekly newspapers to notify the members of the public for the Northwest facilities, or the trading of power in the Northwest, just to comply with Section 11 of the Electricity Regulation Act. In terms of the objections now to that publication of the objections, or inviting members of the public to object or submit comments, on the closing date, which was on the 30th of July, the member of the public, again being Ms. Kabelo Matloti Matabuche, submitted comments regarding the trading license that was advertised. And again, it was the same issues of opposing to the granting of the trading license for the reasons that were stated previously in the other applications. So she has done so with all of the other applications. And in terms of the issues raised during the deliberations at the Electricity Subcommittee on 2 September 2025, the issues are listed in Table 2, and it was the issue of the rules, the status on the rules, again, just to make sure that the issues raised by the member of the public are taken into consideration, and just to clarify the issue of the period, because there are two periods. One period is the one that is prescribed in the Act, being the 30 days during the advertisement. That is the objection period. once the 30 days is over and nothing has been submitted therein. So if somebody says, I'm objecting, it means now you are at a different stage outside of the 30 days, and therefore, NERSA needs to be clear that it is a person that is opposing to the application itself, but it will not be treated through that process of first getting the reasons or the responses, and then the time frames change and so forth. No, they're outside of that. So it was just the issue that was clarified. And then issues of the network. All of those issues are under that table that summarizes the deliberations at the electricity subcommittee. Then the last issue, Chairperson, is just to summarize the decision that is now sought by the electricity subcommittee, being that the energy regulator is requested to approve that Link Solar be issued with a 20-year trading license to trade electricity, subject to the license conditions that are imposed and are attached here. To note the 20-year generator power purchase agreement between Link Solar and Solar Africa Energy Pty Ltd. Thirdly, to note the 20-year customer power purchase agreement between Link Solar as well as Green Black Energy Solutions on behalf of Bagafela Development and Welfare. And then to also note the tariff in the customer power purchase agreement between Link Solar and Green Black Energy Solutions on behalf of Bagafela Development and Welfare. To also note the tariff in the generator power purchase agreement between Link Solar Energy and Solar Africa Energy. Lastly, to approve the reasons, the decision and the reasons for decision. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Madam Maseti. Members, there's the item as read and is presented by Madam Maseti. For more clarity, if you've got any questions, over to you, Mr. Mkhize.
Thanks, Chairperson. As I said earlier on, I'm a member of ELS. The issues for me, they remain the same as the ones that you have already alluded to regarding the trading license applications. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Okay, I don't know if Madam Maseti, you see it necessary to comment to what Mr. Mkhize has just said, but if not, we can go on to... Yes, Mr. Mkhize? Your hand was up?
Oh, sorry. I wanted to say, to do a thumbs up was from my side, just a comment. Okay. And I think all the issues have been addressed and in terms of the way forward. Thank you.
Okay. Members, we've got the item before us for approval. Madam Maseti has taken us through the recommendation. If you're happy to approve the item as recommended on page 505, clause 6.1, by a show of hands, please. Thank you, Mr. Mkhize, Madam Maseti, Ms. Sibia, Advocate Sitole, Mr. Sibanda. I'm also happy to approve the item. Ms. Simane, do we still have you in the meeting?
Yes, Madam Chairperson, I wrote you a note on the WhatsApp, on the chat to say that based on the comments that on my input on the Investec trading license, I think my inputs are standing for the rest of the trading license applications. I will be abstaining on all of them.
Oh, okay. Thanks for clarifying that. I had not checked the chat. Ms. Faye Ngube, if you can please note on all the trading applications, trading license applications, note down Ms. Simane's abstention from voting for those. If you can please note it down. Thanks.
Will do, Chair.
All right. Thank you. Item 6.5, the application by Link Solar Pty Ltd has been approved. And then if we can then go on to, the meeting is now closed to the public. Thanks to members of the public who have joined us this morning. Gerald,